This is a simulation of what happens when a high-flying aircraft loses its cabin pressure. But rapid decompression is obvious, and pilots would be able to take emergency measures.
We're aboard an MC-130 combat talent aircraft of the U.S. Air Force's 1st Special Operations Wing. We're on a mission right now, simulating the penetration of enemy territory at very low altitude. We're only about 150 feet above the terrain. This aircraft is designed to penetrate deep inside an enemy nation to support Special Forces troops operating with guerrilla units.
This is one of the logistic problems of Commander Zero's guerrilla war. In the recent shipment that he received, he had 3 different kinds of mortar shells, some Soviet, some Hungarian, and some Chinese, all with different ballistic characteristics. This is a Tesla coil. It was invented some 90 years ago, but now a growing number of experts in the United States feel that it may form the basis of a new generation of Soviet weapons. Next, I ran the SWAT combat course with Deputy Sheriff Jim Brennan. Even under stress, I found it easy to bring the Beretta's luminous and iron sights on target and hit what I wanted to hit.
Here aboard NASA 930, a giant military 707 that flies giant parabolas to simulate weightlessness.
The 3 C-141s approached the drop zone at a jump speed of 155 miles an hour. In the right door is Major General John Foss, who will jump first to inaugurate the new Ranger phase. In the left door, I will go first ahead of some 20 Ranger students and instructors. Like them, I am carrying a 60-pound rucksack. However, instead of a weapon, a television camera in a container is strapped to my left side. 2,000 feet over the vast, barren drop zone, the jump master yells, "Go!" General Foss and the men behind him leap out of the aircraft. Then it is my turn. My T-10 parachute snaps open, and I find myself drifting toward a mid-air collision with a Ranger instructor. To prevent a dangerous mid-air entanglement, we haul down hard on the lines to our parachute canopies and slip away from each other. This is a Navy F-14 Tomcat jet fighter spinning wildly out of control. The pilot fights the wild gyrations, but the plane has entered a flat spin from which there is no recovery. Seconds later, the $35 million F-14 will crash. From 1970 to 1980, out-of-control F-14s killed 4 naval aviators and destroyed 7 aircraft, costing $245 million. Investigations showed that the F-14's vicious flat spin characteristics had prevented pilots from physically being able to recover the Tomcat. However, in 1980, the Navy formed a special unit on each coast to train pilots to deal with the F-14's treacherous, out-of-control flight characteristics before the aircraft became unrecoverable. In the 5 years since then, more than twice as many F-14 hours have been flown, the accident rate has been chopped in half, and no lives have been lost. In 1984 and 85, there were no accidents at all involving out-of-control F-14s. For over a year, one of the 3 elite instructors who daily fly the hazardous spin missions has been this woman, Naval Aviator Lieutenant Linda Schaefer, assigned to VF-43 in Oceana, Virginia. In this exclusive report, the Navy allowed this CNN reporter to undergo the wild, out-of-control flight training with Lieutenant Schaefer as instructor, the first time that a civilian pilot has ever been allowed to fly through the course. The special unit, Adversary Squadron VF-43, has the mission of simulating Soviet aircraft and tactics. The squadron uses a number of different jet aircraft to mimic the performance of various Soviet fighters. Its elite aviators zoom into mock air battles several times daily, using Soviet tactics in order to hone the air combat skills of Navy and Marine Corps fighter and attack pilots. Since 1980, however, VF-43 has had the added job of using these T-2 Buckeye jet trainers to teach naval aviators how to recover from out-of-control flight. This risky and dangerous course of instruction is taught by Lieutenant Schaefer and 2 other instructors, including Program Chief Lieutenant Commander P.J. Fuller.
It's a building process. We show people the early stall phases, then we kick them into departures, we take them into various forms of post-stall gyrations to get them used to it, then into the early phase of a spin, then into the steady state phase of the spin, then we throw in a few interesting maneuvers to make it all worthwhile.
To make it all worthwhile for the Navy, however, they made sure I was qualified. I was blasted upward in an ejection seat trainer, jerked in a parachute harness and dropped into the water, pulled out of the water by a simulated helicopter rescue hoist, and then I was blindfolded and put into a water crash trainer and dunked several more times to make sure that I was thoroughly drown-proofed. Then I was sky-proofed. With a Navy instructor, I flew some high-G aerobatics, looping and rolling across the Virginia skies. The centrifugal force of the maneuvers made me pull as much as 6 times the normal force of gravity as I flew chase in a T-38 supersonic trainer behind 3 of the squadron's other aircraft, up, over, around, and down in formation. Then a stint at air combat training. During one violent maneuver against 2 F-14s, one of the Tomcat fighters went flashing by at a closing speed of 1,600 miles an hour, less than 300 feet away. An error at that speed would have filled the sky with exploding metal. Then came the hard part, intensive classroom preparation for the out-of-control flight syllabus. VF-43 assigned me their most thorough instructor, Lieutenant Linda Schaefer, the only female spin pilot in the entire United States Navy. Around the squadron, only call signs are used. Lieutenant Schaefer's call sign is Peaches. For days, Peaches drummed the recovery procedures into my head until it became a sort of catechism.
We're going to depart the aircraft, and then F-14 procedures. Neutral lateral, harness lock, program stick forward. As the aircraft recovers, you'll feel it recovering out of that. I want you to pull it out and climb back up to 24,000.
In the classroom, Lieutenant Schaefer, who is determined to become a test pilot, demonstrated her trademark thoroughness. She meticulously detailed every aspect of 10 gut-wrenching, eyeball-squashing, nausea-inducing maneuvers.
So, depart the aircraft again, 24,000, throttles off, full left rudder, full right stick at 120. And we'll go past the incipience phase, and then the aircraft will be about 30 degrees nose low, steady state yaw, going around the horizon. I'll be talking to you through all of this so you see all the phases, and I'll tell you when to recover. When I ask you to recover, again, look at the turn needle, rudder opposite, stick into.
After a final review of emergency procedures, we headed out to the aircraft. Lieutenant Commander Fuller would fly the chase airplane with Lieutenant Pompier in the front seat shooting videotape. We started our engines and taxied out to the active runway. After receiving clearance, we began a formation takeoff. We headed out to the practice area some 60 miles south over the swamps of Dare County, North Carolina. After some warm-up maneuvers, we began the syllabus. First came the ballistic departure. Fly the airplane straight up and then let her fall. As the jet flopped over, I performed the recovery procedures that Peaches had drummed into me. Neutral lateral stick, harness locked, program stick forward, and pull out of the dive. After increasingly difficult maneuvers with names like accelerated departures, incipient spins, and rudder triples, came the upright spin. Following Peaches' calm instructions, I slowed the jet down. As it started to shake just before reaching stall speed, I kicked in hard rudder and opposite aileron. The T-2 flipped around and began to gyrate like a falling leaf. The white trail behind the aircraft was normal. It was fuel being automatically vented to equalize tank pressures. Again, I recovered using the standard F-14 recovery procedures that Lieutenant Schaefer had taught me earlier. Then came the inverted spin. I started a loop. When the aircraft was upside down, I pushed the nose up, waited for the aircraft to stop flying, and pushed in full rudder. Instantly, I was upside down, hanging from the harness in negative G, being pushed towards the canopy. It was hard to reach the stick and rudder pedals. The maneuver is very disorienting, but I remembered Peach's instruction and looked for the turn needle to see which way I was spinning. Then I neutralized the controls and the jet popped upright, but the aircraft was going downhill very fast and started doing recovery rolls. Surprisingly, the move that Peaches induced was matter of fact. As I recovered, there was even time for banter. The confidence and training provided by the spin instructors is reflected by the fact that in the last 2 years there were no out-of-control crashes of the $35 million F-14s. The total cost of the spin program for 5 years has been about $4.5 million. With the spin instructors of VF-43, this is Chuck Caro, CNN Special Assignments. Behind me is the river San Juan. It forms the border between Costa Rica and Nicaragua. 5 months ago, when CNN last visited Commander Zero, the river was occasionally contested by Sandinista forces. Now the area is completely dominated by Zero's men, who operate in broad daylight with the support of people on both sides.
En mayo iniciamos la guerra. Bueno, pues, bye-bye.
In an exclusive interview with Pastora, this reporter traveled by speedboat along the San Juan River from Delta del San Juan to a position just east of El Castillo, a distance of about 70 miles. Pastora, better known as Commander Zero, visited 7 positions along the river. This outpost near Delta del San Juan was manned by about 50 guerrillas who were armed mostly with Soviet AK-47 rifles, Chinese 57 and 76 millimeter recoilless rifles, and U.S.-made M72 rocket launchers, all bought on the international arms market, according to Pastora. A training camp was next. About 30 young guerrillas were being instructed in the use of a number of weapons. Commander Zero gave an impromptu tactics lecture and pep talk.
20, 30, 40 meters of cleared ground, and a grenade can work wonders, especially in an ambush. One man can stop 150 with 2 grenades.
Reaching the westernmost camp manned by another 40 guerrillas, this reporter noted that the tempo of activities increased at night. Here, a resupply operation is in progress. Weapons and ammunition, boxes of provisions, and even barrels of gasoline were brought in by huge dugout canoes equipped with outboard motors. The following day, Pastora talked about his plans for the near future.
You
have already seen what we did in Managua. One bombing raid and the whole world was moved. We have done much more, but no one knows. But that's the way things are in war. But this month, September, there will be important military moves by us here in the Southern Front and along the Atlantic coast. This month, we will take a giant step and become a force to be reckoned with.
Pastora also said that he will come to the United States to ask for funds directly from the American people. I told him that in some quarters he was perceived as another Castro. I asked him how he could guarantee the American people that their money wouldn't wind up being used against them in the future.
Yes, I want to talk to your noble people, your noble nation. How can I give you a guarantee? With my actions. I have fought for 23 years. I have always fought for liberty and peace. First against the dictator Somoza, and now against the tyranny of the communists. I will continue to fight to free my country or die in the process. That is the guarantee I can give to the American people.
Despite his progress since May, Comandante Zero's ultimate success may well depend upon whether or not he can secure some form of aid from the United States. From the Rio San Juan, this is Chuck Caro, CNN on special assignment.
CNN began an undercover investigation of computer counterfeiters who operate in the Silicon Valley in July of 1983. On the 5th of August, this reporter and an investigative team posing as personal computer wholesalers entered this company, Electrade, in San Jose, California. Electrade is not authorized or licensed by Apple to build or sell its computers or use its copyrighted software. Yet Perry Chen of Electrade said he was willing to sell us large numbers of 100% Apple-compatible computers, computers which use Apple's copyrighted operating programs. We asked if Electrade could sell us 80 to 100 computers a month. They replied they could, beginning in a few weeks. We then purchased one of Electrade's unlabeled computers as a sample for $350. This is the computer we purchased. It was found to contain a copy of Apple's software in its memory chips, as well as being very similar in appearance and design. Electrade told us that the computers were imported in pieces from Taiwan. According to Apple, if that is true, Electrade's computers containing Apple's copyrighted software should have been seized by U.S. Customs for possible violations of import statutes. 6 months later, we returned to Electrade and made another undercover purchase. CNN Special Assignment staff member John Bodner purchased an interface card for $45, a device which in this case electronically mates a disk drive to the computer. After buying the interface card, we took it to Apple's Technical Support Center in Cupertino, California, to have it analyzed.
Let's look at it in comparison to one of our cards. This one is one that Apple manufactures. This is the one you gave me, and the design looks like it's a copy of our design as well. The component placement is the same. The different components themselves, the part numbers are the same. Here we're using a different transistor. Looking at the back of the boards, a few minor differences, but it's the same design.
Martin then plugged both interface cards into his computer to compare the programming contained in each one. He instructed the computer to show any differences.
There aren't any. It's 100% copy. So the program is 100% copy, as well as the design being extremely similar to the Apple card.
Martin gave us this letter, certifying that he had found the Electrade interface board contained a duplicate of Apple's copyrighted program. We then decided to confront Electrade sales manager Perry K. Chen.
Caro from CNN, and we wanted to, Caro and I would like to talk to you about this this device that we bought here the other day. We went over to Apple Computer, and Apple says it's an infringement of the copyright. And we want to know if you could tell us a little bit about that.
You mean this is copyright there?
Yeah, that's copyright.
This seems hardware.
Well, we bought it right here, Mr. Chen.
Who gave you that?
Well, we had one of our associate producers come in and buy it. And he gave us this receipt for it.
Who gave you a receipt?
Here it is right there. With your name on it, gave us a receipt for $45, which we had bought here the other day. And we see that this thing's in violation of Apple's copyright on their software. How do you explain that?
Well, I don't know that. You know, I think this is just hardware.
It just compared those, and there are no differences. It's a 100% copy.
So you're satisfied that this thing is a knockoff of an Apple product, in this case, the interface card?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the code is 100% copy.
Did you ever sell Apple computers at all, or Apple-type computers with their programs on?
No program. You know, we just say most time we sell the accessory.
How long ago?
Probably in July in Swap Show.
Wait, you never sold any out of this office?
No.
Okay. You're absolutely positive of that?
Yeah.
But Perry Chen of Electrade had sold us this computer, which Apple said was a counterfeit, not in July, but in August, and from Electrade's San Jose office. And at the time, Chen himself had openly talked about selling more computers to us, perhaps as many as 100 a month. While a crackdown on Apple computer counterfeiters is having some effect, informed sources say that the counterfeiters are merely lying low until the heat is off. Meantime, Customs and other investigators say that some of those counterfeiters are using the time to perfect the knockoff of another popular personal computer, this time of IBM. From the Silicon Valley, this is Chuck Caro, CNN Special Assignments.